It is time.
It is time. The time has come.
It's time. No,
Hey,
I
guys.
won't do the Bruce Buffer.
All right, welcome back. It's good to see some faces that we haven't seen in a couple of weeks.
Whether it's been weather or travel or whatever, it just seems like everybody took off on us at the same time. But it's good to see everybody back. We're now officially starting wave 2. So we're on week 1. So it's new stuff. If you were here on Tuesday, you got to do it. This is your second round. If not, we're going to have some fun. We're going to be focusing on the extension of the back. So finding spinal extension, which for some people is a pretty tough one to get into. So don't worry, we'll give you lots of adjustments and a lot of variations that we can work on. We're working on shoulder flexion, being able to get those arms overhead. And with the hip, we're going to work on external rotation, that pesky hacky sack kind of position in the front of that hip car.
Front of your car. Yeah.
All right. That all being said, let's get things started. Sean is going to run you through some global spine cars. So
All
we're
right,
going
those of you that know, you can just jump straight in. Those of you that are still kind of newish to your cars, take your feet slightly wider than your hips and hug your feet together. That's going to help keep your pelvis still. The idea is to move your spine through its greatest range of motion without taking your hips for the hula with you. So crisscross your hands over your collarbones. Then I'm going to flex down, find as much flexion as I can in that spine. Then I'm going to rotate around, wring out that spine like a dishcloth, drop my right shoulder towards my right heel, and then extend up to the sky. Drop my left shoulder towards my left heel, and then come back around through center until I complete that circle. Then I'm going to freeze and rotate in the opposite direction. Rotate left, drop that shoulder, extend up to the sky, rotate around, down, and through. And just keep tick-tocking back and forth, guys.
If you're struggling with some of the cues, because again, a lot of us haven't articulated our spine this in detail, think of someone looking at you from straight above you, and they're watching less your head, but more of like that whole top part of your torso, and you're trying to draw the biggest circle you can with that torso. The caveat is I don't want your hips to move. Using only your spine. We're doing this for time. We're halfway there. The only thing, start off at the beginning there, Josh. So once you crunch down, think twist first. When you can't twist anymore, then you're going to lateral flex like you're doing a side bend. Then you're going to go into extension, then twist as far as you can, then lateral flex, and then you're going to flex it through all the way back to the front. There we go. Just get more rotation. A lot of you are cutting the rotation out. So flexion and extension are the first layer, and then twisting or rotation is the second layer, and then lateral flexion is kind of like trying to scrape out the little edges. So don't forget the twist. In the front, you're going to max out that crunch, and then you're going to twist as far as you can. And when you can't twist anymore, that's when you're going to start to go into extension. When you can't extend anymore, then you twist the other way. All right, finish the rep you're on.
Finish that rep. All right, everybody's favorite, the standing hip car. So you guys are gonna need a little bit of wall space.
Yeah, so just find any wall space you can.
Your hand that touches the wall, you're gonna be doing your inside leg. So same hand, same leg. We're gonna be going for time. That leg is gonna start to get heavy. So do your best to keep the reps the same size throughout. Also, you can lean into that wall a little bit. I can't really do it with my dowel, but you can lean in to that wall a little bit to help you create more tension.
Yeah, I prefer, it helps. Don't bend that elbow that's on the wall. Lean into it like you're trying to push your hand through the wall so that arm stays nice and strong.
All right, start to make that circle. So starting with that external rotation, crossing the body, adducting, coming up, moving out, thinking of stepping over that imaginary object, internally rotating into the back, standing up tall as you find hip extension. And then drive back, kick behind you, step over that imaginary object again, come back through center and down. Good. So just keep going. Keep tick-tocking back and forth.
In this position, go straight back. Then you're going to come out to the side, over top, and then you're bringing it into that hacky sack. Again, there's layers to these cars. If you're at the, like again, you can always reduce it to drawing the biggest circle with that kneecap that you can. And then as that gets more familiar, then you start to carve out those more specific details. But don't skip out on any of those sections. Again, unless you've got any pinching, and then you adjust until that pinching is gone. Timer's going, that hip, we want to get that hip nice and warm this morning. Halfway there. We're doing our left, it looks like everybody's doing their left leg, so that right leg, that standing leg, really try to keep that leg straight. And I want you to think about that right butt cheek trying to stay nice and firm the whole time. Because if it's moving around a lot, then you're not really getting a good accurate representation of what your left hip can do. So keep that right butt cheek nice and tight.
Tight. All right, probably getting a little bit fatigued by now. Keep trying to make that car as big as you can.
We got one nice long set. That's all we're doing on both sides. But that hip should be getting nice and toasty. Bury yourself up to your, well, actually, everything but that left leg is a statue. Oh, finish the rep you're on.
Saved by the bell, other side.
And then switch over to the second side.
Everyone's like, I don't want to do the second
Jackie,
side
I would
now.
go use the
Notice
corner
though,
here. That
how
way you're not
much
gonna
was
kick
your other
anything
hip
on the side.
working to stay still?
Ready?
Ready, set?
Set, and begin that second
And
leg.
go.
2 minutes is a long time, and most of you are not used to doing anything for 2 minutes. Two minutes is a nice amount of time to make sure all those slow twitch muscle fibers are activated and the connective tissue has had enough time under tension to pay attention.
Nobody's counting your reps, guys. You go as slow as you need to go.
Just keep moving. That's the goal. Again, think about that standing leg. Don't let the knee bend if you can help it. And keep that butt cheek nice and flexed. Halfway.
It's good to see some of you guys learning how to create more body tension.
Yeah.
It's looking good. It's looking better than week one.
There we go. Keep it going. Don't cut off the backside. That's the hard part. When that leg comes out to that side and you start to go into that extension, that's where the real work is going to get started. Good. And then the same thing, drive straight back before you start to try to lift over that fence. And then bring that heel with you. The tendency is to immediately go into external rotation when you drive your foot back. We want to do the opposite. As you go back, go straight back. Try to maintain as much internal rotation as possible before you try to bring that leg over the fence and back to the front. And if your brain is having a very difficult time with that, that's okay. Oh, saved by the bell. Finish the rep you're on.
All right, we're into shoulder cars, guys. Come back to mats.
Luckily, you only have to do one round of this.
Yes. Okay, so
it's a long one.
This week we're gonna hit your shoulder car in a tabletop position, which is pretty challenging because you're fighting all that gravity to come up. The tendency, the cheat that we're gonna try to be working against is this, opening the chest up to make that shoulder car bigger. Okay, so do the best you can to keep your chest pointed towards the floor at all times. As you've noticed, Jessie loves a nice long set. So if you have wrist issues, you can use a dumbbell so that you're not wrist extension on the floor. If you start to fail out of this position, sit back, butt to heels. And if you start to fail out of this position, sit up. It just gets easier, okay? So you can almost move through those positions throughout your set if you need to, or you can be a hero and stay down in tabletop the whole 2 minutes. Up to you. All right, again, nobody's counting your reps, just looking for nice, smooth, steady reps for the full duration.
The other big cheat, again, as Sean said, is the twisting open. But in this position also, things start to get hard and that elbow wants to bend to try to imagine you're getting that hand farther up. So really do your best to keep that tricep active, especially as you're going into that backside. That tricep actually helps a lot with the back of your shoulder. So think about that tricep muscle in the back of your arm.
Okay,
Ready.
So find your tabletop, square that chest to the floor.
Set and begin those cars.
Crossing the body first, coming up, and then rotating into that back space. Yes. Either squeezing your fist nice and tight or making a shark fin with your hand, whatever works for you. Just make sure you're doing something active with that hand.
I'm just going to show you where that level is. Keep going. Yeah. There we go. And then come on back. The second that you start to notice your rib cage really wanting to twist on you, just realize that that's just the end of the range of motion for your shoulder. There's no need, like again, we want to carve out as much connection to the shoulder as we can, but twisting the ribs further isn't going to help you do that. So remember, we're trying to discover the honest representation of what your shoulder can do, or whatever the car is we're doing. We're trying to look for that joint's capacity. The inadvertent / best thing about mobility training is the connection that you start to build with your body and your ability to discern and feel things more accurately, more independently, more individually. Just over halfway. Right. The burn is real. Yes. Your hand should feel heavy.
Starting your Saturday with a cars marathon was not what you had in mind. It's all right, you're just making up for all the days this week you didn't do it. Nice.
So good. Now bicep up. When you can't go any further, now open by rotation. Don't twist the shoulder, or don't twist the ribs.
All righty, that was a bell.
That was the bell. If you can, finish the rep, finish the rep. And then rotate. All right, second side. Yeah. Here, I'll guide you through the first one. All right, ready, set, second side, go. So you're thinking, elbow nice and straight, bicep. You're coming up. When you get to that spot where you can't keep the bicep up anymore, then it's that rotation. You keep trying to rotate, keep trying to rotate, keep trying to rotate. And then you're going to get to this spot here. You can't go any further, and then you're going to reverse up. You hit that invisible wall, and then you're going to try to rotate back through.
If you could rotate my arm, that'd be great.
If me doing the work for you made the changes that you needed, I would have very little problems with clients. There we go, that's better. Nice. Rotation, again, with the spine, it's flexion extension is our primaries. With every other joint, pretty much, it's rotation. So when you start to feel things getting stuck, think, can I rotate here? Can I find some rotation at that joint level? Everybody's doing good. Just a tip. Everybody, can you relax your neck like 5%? Your neck is not your shoulder. Although it's a close relative, it's not the same thing. "15 seconds. Breathe. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're done the cars stuff for the day.
Woo, car's done.
Alright.
All right, everybody
So-
feeling warm? We should be nice and warm.
Spine should be a little warmed up, hips should definitely be warm, and those shoulders should be cooking. Okay, now we're gonna be moving on to expanding the space. So today we're going for the spine. We're trying to get that ability to extend the spine. So the easiest and most accessible for most people is finding what we call either a Sphinx pose or a seal pose, just whichever one is at the level where your spine is.
Yeah, choose your flavor of spine extension. This is your Sphinx with the elbows on the floor, okay? And then my goal is to find some kind of a stretch through the front line of my body without restriction or pain in the back of my body. Okay?
Yes. So the biggest issue that most people will have when going into extension is that the lower back will dominate. So you'll do a lot of movement here, but then nothing else in the ribs will move at all. All right. And then maybe you'll get some neck stuff, but everything in the middle just kind of does nothing. So as you're in this position, the key that Sean said right at the very beginning was the stretch that we want to find is the stretch coming up the front. So like abs into the sternum all the way up to the collarbones would be ideal, all right? Nothing is ideal, so we're gonna look for as much of that as we can. The biggest thing is once you get here is to actively, again, we're trying for a passive stretch this week, but with the spine, sometimes it takes a little bit of active in order to get to the passive. So think about trying to make your spine feel long. The big problem anytime we flex or extend the spine is that people collapse into it. It's the same thing that we've talked about with the neck, is people just dump one way or the other and they don't really think about what's going on. Think about how long your spine can feel. As you go into this position, or the other variations will show, is imagine someone trying to play tug-of-war with both ends of your spine, right? Imagine that adjustment that everybody wishes they could have where someone could pop their spine by pulling on both ends. In your head, you're trying to create that level of length, okay?
So that's the Sphinx. Your seal is like a more extreme version of this, pushing up with the hands and then coming into extension here, okay? Or there's a halfway house, which is like a blocked Sphinx. So elbows on blocks. And for me, I could be in any position, but honestly, I feel the best here. This is where I get the best stretch. When I go right up into the seal, I feel my lower back is getting a little congested. So for me, this is where I'm going to work.
Little tip, in any of the positions, think a little bit about pinching your shoulder blades together. It's not the same thing as extension, but it is at least activating the right area so that that can help you open up that upper back a little bit better.
All right,
All right?
find
So
your stretch.
Find the position.
Find your stretch. And as Jesse said, like, this is more of an isometric really than a passive stretch, because I'm squeezing my butt to keep the tension out of that lower back. And I'm also thinking about dragging my sternum forwards towards that clock so that I really create the stretch in the upper back as well as the lower back.
All right, the timer is going. Again, think about that length. We're going to try to get a second round of this in today, so this is our first run. Now, the butt is squeezing. The arms are definitely a little bit active because they're holding you up. And you probably have to start off a little bit active with the spine in order to find the sensation. But what is trying to relax over time is the front of the spine. If your neck feels good with it, you can lift the chin. If your neck doesn't like that, then just stare at whatever you feel good with staring at. I like thinking about some part of the front of my pelvis, whatever feels the most comfortable for you, being heavy on the ground. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, and slowly come on out of there. And we're going to make our way to our butt, where we're going to go through our 90-90 external rotation stretch.
Feel free to pop into a rounded spine flex position if you feel like you need a little bit of relief coming out of that stretch, guys.
Okay, 90-90. All right, most of you guys have been here before with us at some point, but we will break it down. So I'm going right leg first. My goal is to get a stretch through this stuff and potentially this stuff as well in the hip. I want to avoid any pinching pain in the front of the hip here. I'm setting up in what we call the 90-90. So the bony part of my pelvis, bony part of my knee, and the bony part of my ankle are all lined up in 90 degrees. From here, I'm gonna lift my chest, pulling my belly button over the front of my shin, so I'm not rounding down. I'm lifting up and bowing that stretch right where I want it, right into my butt. Okay, variations and alterations. Some of you are gonna be limited by the back hip. So if you're feeling bunched up here, okay, that's because your back hip needs some changing. So you can pull your knee in towards your heel to change that up, or you can simply lean out to the side a little bit more, give yourself a little bit more space, okay? Other things to help you feel more comfortable, block underneath your right butt cheek the long way so it supports your hamstring a little bit. Block underneath the knee. This can feel really nice as well for a slightly different sensation on the stretch, just so it brings a little bit more stability to the pelvis, okay? So play around with what you feel is gonna work for you. And if anybody can't get into a position where they feel a stretch, let us know. Another option, if this stretch is just not working for you at all, is this, your good old figure 4, okay? So feel free to revert back to this if you need to.
All right, so whatever variation you came into, remember it's about that bent leg, it's not about the leg in the back. So find whatever sort of setup is gonna give you that sensation in that front side.
Getting something, Lynn? You getting a stretch? Awesome. Yeah. Your sit bone on that front leg is trying to escape behind you at all times. It's trying to scurry to the back of the mat while your chest lifts up and forward. So I should see the logos on everybody's t-shirts.
The more that tailbone tries to stick out the back, the more stretch you're gonna get.
Is that making sense, guys?
Again, just the sensation you're gonna get out of this position is if your hamstrings are super tight, you're gonna probably get more of that butt sort of stretch on the outside or the bottom of the butt or hip. If you're getting more rotation, and the rotation is what's more limited, that's when you're gonna start to get that groin stretch.
Getting up through your lower back, Rob? Yeah, you're limited by that back hip. Let Jesse come and help you out here.
I don't feel anything here, it's all back here.
Just on this side?
Yeah.
Okay, then I would try first pulling this knee forward.
You guys
Does
getting
that
it?
feel better?
Yeah.
A little bit better. Then the other thing I would do is, if you can lift this hip up, I'm gonna toss this block under your butt. There you go. How's that feel?
So if you've got a good sensation, can you play with making it more intense?
Perfect,
By
that's
trying to
good.
Tilt that pelvis just a little bit more, like you're trying to tip water out the front of your pelvis.
Again, your belly button is chasing the front of your shin.
Nice, breathe, good.
And like all stretches, the more unhealthy the tissue, or the longer it's been since you've worked on it, you're gonna get all sorts of mixed signals from it. Sometimes you'll get nothing, sometimes you'll get way too much. The healthier the tissue, the easier it is to feel the stretch. All right, coming out of that side, let's make our way over to the second side.
On the side.
I think that if I could educate everybody about stretching, that would be the number one thing that's misunderstood, is that people think that that sensation of like what they feel when they easily bend over and they feel that hamstring stretch, they feel like that's what all stretching should feel like. That's actually quite healthy tissue. The more unhealthy it is, the more stuck you're gonna feel. The more closer to the joint, the more banjo string it's gonna start to feel like, or being completely stuck. All right, timer started on that second side. Again, both sides aren't symmetrical, so you might have to adjust slightly different on the second side.
Tighter. You're gonna have multiple rounds of this, guys, so don't worry if you're struggling to kind of feel good things in the first round. As Jesse was saying, it might get better.
There is one, because there's a few of you in the room that have pretty open hips in this position, that if you want to address more rotation, 90 degrees is a good starting place, but if you want to dial it up a notch, if you take that heel slightly farther away, not too much farther away, but if you open it up a little bit more than 90, that will increase the rotation in the hip. 30 seconds left on this side. And the more, haven't actually used the term in this group as much, but I do usually use it, is the more sassy butt you get here, as in you're trying to flare out that tailbone, the more the hip is gonna take the stretch and the less the lower back is. The lower back is gonna have to work, but it won't be stretch, it'll be contraction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come on out of there.
All right, the butcher's block stretch is what's next for your shoulders. So this is helping us with getting the shoulders overhead, okay? So we're looking for a stretch through any of this stuff. We don't want to feel pinching or pain in the back/top of shoulder. Some of you may need blocks. Some of you won't need blocks. You have to experiment and see what works best for you. The load is just simply a spacer. You're not actually putting the load through your shoulder, really. It's just to keep your hands apart. You're gonna come down flat on your face and put the tips of your elbows on the blocks.
Okay, pause here. For some of you, look up again. For some of you, you're tight enough in the shoulders that this setup right here, before she drops, this is gonna be a stretch, okay? And if you get into this position and you start to feel a stretch through here, then you're not gonna have to go that much farther. Then, if that's not you and you still don't feel a stretch, now you're just gonna start to pull your ribs farther away from the tips of your elbows, okay? So it's, yes, her face is going down, her collarbones are trying to get closer to the floor, but the big thing is these front ribs are trying to pull down towards the hips in order to create as much tissue length for that lat that runs this length of the body, all right? If you get into this position and you still don't feel much of a stretch, you could try going a little narrower with the elbows, and the extra challenge will be to try to actually tuck your tailbone and lift your belly button right off the floor. Okay, that's only if you get into this position and you're not feeling anything. All right.
Some of you won't even need the blocks.
Yeah.
So experiment, see how it feels. Do you get the stretch? If you need help, yeah, you can use a block for your hands. If you don't have a weight, same deal.
How's that feeling? If the other thing that you could do too, if it's very intense, is take the dumbbell out between the hands and just have your hands together. All right, the
How's it
timer
feeling, guys?
is started.
So a lot of you looking at me like you're confused. Do you need help? Let us know. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, the timer is started.
The time is going.
Okay, think about those ribs pulling this way. Even if you're not looking down, it's still good. Think about flexing your abs. Belly button is trying to lift off the floor if possible. And the last little thing we haven't mentioned is imagine that you could reach through the tips of your elbows forward, like you're trying to get taller. There we go. Better? Yeah.
I don't feel anything.
Yeah, so throw the blocks underneath. There we go. There we go. And then reach.
Yes.
Yes.
Pushing the elbows
that
down,
feeling?
pulling the ribs down to the hips.
So think about this coming through there. Okay, now try to flex your abs. There we go. And then reach through those elbows. Feel that? Okay, perfect. And then whoop. The more you can round your lower back towards the ceiling, you might also get a little more lat stretch too. Again, that's that lifting the belly button off the floor kind of feel. And you can think about, again, if some of you are finding this not a super huge stretch, pinching the elbows or trying to squeeze your ears with your biceps also helps. That was the timer. Come on out. Don't worry. We're going to try to get one more round of that in as well. Okay. We've done all 3 stretches. Now, so we're gonna come back to that first stretch. So we're already in pretty much the right position. We're going to that Sphinx or that seal. Yeah.
Belly button coming off the floor, is that by pushing your hips in or your chest?
That's by flexing your abs. So this is that disconnect, right? A lot of people, to try to get if you're trying to get your belly button off the floor by pushing your knees into the ground, that means you're trying to use your hip flexors rather than your core. So we got to work on that. That's one thing. But so flexing the abs and trying to tuck your tailbone down between your heels and keeping the front part of your belly really, really flexed to try to imagine you're pushing your lower back towards the ceiling. All right? Because this is the thing. When we put our arms overhead, the biggest compensation that most people have is as soon as their arms get to about here somewhere, they start to just do this. They start to extend. Okay? So if we want to actually get a stretch in those muscles that actually would allow us to do this, well, then we have to keep the front of our body really tight in order to do that, because we don't notice that simple shift. Like here, I wouldn't feel anything, and here I'd feel a huge flex or stretch in my lats. And that's not that much movement on the outside, right? So we got to keep that activity to try to find that length through this armpit stuff.
All right.
All right, Sphinx round number 2. Elbows down or hands down. We're going for that extension through the spine. Ready and hold. Again, start off with a little bit of activity in the belly, like you're trying to do an ab crunch. And then as you start to feel that tension, slowly see if you can relax and keep that sensation of stretch in the front. Passive stretching, really, for a lot of adults, is the hardest type of stretching. When I ask you to fight something or work on something, it's actually, for most people, a little bit easier to do than try to find tension and then try to relax into it. Think a little bit about those shoulder blades, trying to pinch towards this part of your back. So don't wear your shoulders like earrings if you can help it. So a little activity, make that neck long and try to, rather than shrugging the shoulders up, can you pull them away from your ears a little bit? If you're getting a lot of excess sensation in your lower back, then back off the stretch. See if you can get this more into the upper part of the spine. We excessively flex, not that flexion is great in everybody either, but extension is something that most people really struggle with because everything posturally in our world is sitting hunched over screens, hunched over phones, hunched over whatever work we're doing. So extension is the opposite of all that. All right, coming out of there. All right, take a second. If you need to throw a child's pose in between, feel free to do so. Getting familiar and getting comfortable with extension will transform your back over time. All right, back to our 90-90 external rotation position.
Second round. All right, guys, as we're in the second round, I'm just going to invite you to play with the stretch a little bit and experiment with what we call scanning the stretch. So I could just stay in this position, but if I do this every time I hit the stretch, I'm always going to hit the same lines of tissue, same lines of stuff, right? So experiment with turning your chest a little bit towards your knee, see how that feels. Turn and reach your chest towards your big toe. Move between those positions. Notice where you really need the stretch the most. Everybody's going to be different, right? So find a slightly different variation of the stretch you did on the first round.
The other option that I want to throw at everybody is that sometimes this leg's mobility, because it can get in the way, that more of a pigeon setup can actually drastically increase the amount of rotation you can achieve on that outside of that hip. So feel free with that back leg also to try to extend it farther back, okay? None of these setups are better than the other. It's just about finding the one that works best for you, all right? So you can try that leg all the way back. You can try scanning along that shin. Look for the tight tissue in your hip.
Timer is going.
Yep.
And remember, guys, what we talked about with the intensity. Some of you are looking super relaxed, which is nice. But I want you to search for like that 6 or 7 out of 10 on the intensity scale. Find that stretch.
Losing most of your tension from is right here. So the more you can get that extension. So it's that pelvis trying to tilt this way rather than tucking under. So this is where that sassy butt comes in as well, right? So when we were doing extension, we tried to keep that lower back a little bit out of it. On this one, we really want to extend that lower back in order to try to push the top of the pelvis forward to get more stretch in the hip.
How's the second round feeling? A bit better, guys? Yeah.
No, don't lean forward. So it's more this sort of a sensation. Feel that? And again, sitting on blocks can be very helpful, blocks under knees, any sort of playing around that helps you find the sensation. There's a real art to stretching because everybody's tissue is different. It's not like, oh, if you have the hamstring tightness, that your hamstring is the same tightness as the next person's hamstring tightness. Same thing for all the fibers. It's like your fibers that are tight are going to be specifically to you. So you got to kind of go out and search for those fibers to make sure that the tension is getting into the stuff that you need to stretch. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, coming out of that side and switching over to the other.
Just windshield wiper those hips a bit if you need it. Shake it out. Do whatever you need to do.
The longer that you hold a stretch, the more connective tissue you're inviting to the party. And then when you go to come out, the connective tissue is like, it's like a party. They don't want to leave. You got to kick them out. All right, second side timer is started. Again, any of the setups. And realize that both sides aren't the same. So one setup might work better on one side and a different setup might work on the other side. I have worked with thousands of people and no one is symmetrical, not one. Breathe. If you can remember that isometric ramping breath that we worked on last time in our last week, that inhale for half as long as you exhale or exhaling for twice as long as you inhale, however you want to think about it, always helpful for passive stretching. Inhale for 4, exhale for 8, or whatever ratio works for you. How's this one feeling for you? Because you're very tight on this side, right?
I know.
If you're sitting on a block, there's another advantage, and you could do this without the block, but the block does help, is imagine if you're sitting on that block that you're trying to slide the block out behind you, but using only your butt. So feel the skin that's touching the block, and try to imagine you could use that skin to try to shove that block out behind you. Ten seconds. And come on out of there. Do any movement that your hips require. Make them feel a little better, and then we're going to meet ourselves back down, face down for our butcher's block stretch for those shoulders.
The good news is, guys, this does get more comfortable. If you keep doing it, Notice how the multiple sets also helps, right?
All right. Let's get those shoulders into that position. Whichever variation felt good for you. Now, although the goal is passive, if you're struggling to feel this one, all you have to do to feel it in the right area is to drive your elbows down. That'll tell you the muscles that we're trying to get. And then, once you've got that sensation of activation, then you slowly try to relax, and you slowly try to take that muscle that you just felt flex into a longer and longer and longer position. How's that feel, Jackie? Can you pull those ribs this way? Okay, and then slide your hips down your mat a little bit. Yeah, there, waddle that down there. We go. There, and then pull there. How's that feel? That's better. Perfect. No problem. Look a little bit tighter on this side. Think about these ribs specifically and try to pull them in and down. It's okay. One thing this hopefully will also teach you is where you need more connection to your body. All right, it's amazing how many people, whether they're athletes or whatever background they come from, and even if you exercise, if you haven't been trying to build a better connection to your tissue, you might have inadvertently made things healthier, but not really connected to it. If you're getting it right in there, then I would take this out or go narrower. Better? Okay. And just to explore something else that's going on in your shoulders right now, is take a second and try to, if you got the block between your hands or you've got, the dumbbell between your hands, imagine you were trying to clap your hands together and squeeze that block or that dumbbell. That's a different tissue that we're also stretching just inadvertently. Give that a squeeze and then try to relax slowly and see if you can deepen into the stretch a bit. Ten seconds. Three, two, one, and slowly come on out of there. Oh, we're done the stretching part. Now we get to do the save the work part or the strengthening part. So with the spine, we were working on trying to learn how to open up the front. So now, in order to help with that process, we're going to try to actually strengthen or connect better to the back. Because a lot of the time when we do go into that crunchy, crappy feeling that can happen in the lower back, some of that is just very disorganized, like just not knowing how to flex the tissue very well. So we're going to do a cobra hold or a locust hold. And we're going to hold this isometrically. So basically it's the stretch, but without the help of our hands. So we're going to come up into this position, and then we're going to slowly take the arms out of the situation and hold at the top position. Okay? So if you've got no issues with your back, your arms in this position is great, because then we can also make it harder by simply reaching the arms forward and holding there with a longer lever. If that's not you, then what you're going to do is you're going to take your arms and reach them back, and you're going to not use your arms to lift up. You're going to just lift up only as far as you can without the use of your arms, and you're going to try to isolate that top part of your back and get most of the sensation up here rather than in the spot down in the lower back, where if you've got a problem with your lower back is probably where you'll only feel it there. All right, so really think about this top half. But again, if you don't have any issues with your lower back, then you're going to bring your arms into the mix. You're going to lift up as high as you possibly can with using your arms, and then you're going to slowly try to take your arms out, and wherever you can hold, that's where you stay.
It's like, I'm not lifting up and then just going, whoop. I'm lifting up and then gradually transferring from my hands into my back. And I'm thinking, how much work can my back do? Can I get my back to do more? Can I get my back to do more? Eventually, I find the place where I'm making my hands light. I'm just on my fingertips, and then I'm letting go.
Yeah.
Okay?
And then that is where we're going to hold for 30 seconds. Something you probably noticed, Sean's legs were a little wide and her butt was really flexed. If you want to hold at the top, that's what you're going to have to squeeze your butt more than you've ever squeezed it before.
Everything.
So squeeze everything in the back. Again, caveat for anybody that has lower back problems, start off in that low position and only do that bottom
Just peel
hold.
up.
We're still holding the same muscle tissue. We're just not trying to go into the end range where you might have some issues with swollen discs or something like
All
that.
right, let's go.
All right, 30 seconds. Ready. Find the position, lift, and hold. Squeeze your butt.
Okay.
Take the arms away. And feel all that tissue. If you can, I want you to feel it from the back of your skull to the tip of your tailbone.
If you dare, take those hands forwards.
You can always make it harder. That's okay. Again, as long as there's no pinching pain, that's fine. But also use your connection to your spine and try to find this more. Yeah, if that helps. And done. Come on down.
Right?
Come on down.
Challenging.
Okay, that was round one. We're gonna go on to our next exercise, which we're gonna stand up for.
Okay,
Again,
so,
child's pose if you need it between.
okay, we're just doing straight back lunges here, guys. For those of you that are experienced and you're fine with your balance and back lunges, feel free to load them. If you know that you struggle, feel free to move to a wall. These back lunges will eventually become a curtsy or plie lunge because external rotation is our focus. But for today, we're just gonna work a straight back lunge to get you used to that pattern. I would advise not doing it on the big thick mats. I would step off onto the hard floor.
I would just be on the hard, unless you need the softness for your knee for some reason. All right.
We're just gonna be alternating legs, stepping back and forth.
Yeah, so if you've never done them before, it's simply stepping back and trying to get your knee as close to the floor as you can. Keeping your torso relatively upright. And we're gonna go for time. I would recommend paying attention to which leg you did your first rep on, and when I say the timer is up, try to finish on the other leg. All right, ready, set, and go.
As we are working on range of motion always, guys, take a nice big step, squeeze your butt, and lower with control. Try to find the stretch through that quad and hip flexor as you lower. Don't just go through the motions.
Also a weird idea, not every rep has to be the same. Mobility training, there's another, again, mobility training is the same as any other training, but it has a specific goal. Just like if you were training for a max deadlift, you'd have specific training to make your deadlift strong, like that specific pattern stronger. Mobility training is not about a pattern, it's about a capacity. So every time you step your foot back, maybe step it back into a slightly either farther, closer, maybe a little wider, a little narrower. Give yourself variety because we're trying to capture as much tissue as we can. 3, 2, 1. Again, finish on the leg that you didn't start with if you can help it. And then set those dumbbells down.
It's only been a 2-minute set, but I couldn't remember which leg I started with. Okay.
It was, I don't do 2 minutes on these ones just yet. All right, now we have what's called a bicep press. So we're gonna sit down, any comfortable seated position that you can lean forward in.
So
now,
for some of you, that means using blocks or sitting,
Yes.
sitting on your thick mat with your feet off the edge, because we want you to be able to get that forward lean.
it doesn't have to be a crazy lean, but a little bit of a lean forward. Okay, we need our dumbbells for this. Now, hopefully you didn't, get overzealous and grab too big of a dumbbell.
I might have. I might need to go. I might need to go lighter.
So the bicep is an amazing muscle, and it helps a lot with our shoulder flexion. Because although most people think the bicep is an elbow flexor, it does help with elbow flexion. The bicep's main function is actually shoulder flexion. So we're gonna keep it under tension, and we're gonna work both ends of it. So as you lean forward, you're gonna hold onto your dumbbells. You're gonna try to keep those hands in the tight position up as high as you can on the chest, and then you're gonna try to straighten them straight out as best you can. Sean's showing you right now. Now, in the beginning, we wanna try to keep those hands as high up as we can. As you fatigue, those hands are gonna drift down. That's okay. Keep them as high as you can keep them, but you haven't failed until your hands touch the floor. Okay, so until you can't literally keep them off the ground anymore, that's failure and you can stop then. Or if the timer turns off first, then you stop at that point. All right, so again, go nice and steady. The tendency here is to throw them out and then to try to pull them back in and rush that whole hard spot in the middle. I want a steady tempo. No faster, no slower. Pick a tempo that you can sustain. Okay, we're doing 1 horribly long minute. All right. If you need to drop the dumbbells, you can. And again, as long as you're not touching the floor, you can keep struggling if you want.
Did you help Rob out?
Pardon?
There was people that needed alterations.
Yes, if you can't, if you've got, for some reason, you've got elbow issues, just hold a bent elbow like curl and just rotate the hands. And just stay in a static position.
Alrighty.
Ready. Ricky's grabbing a little bit lighter.
There's some smaller weights over there if you want them.
I'll bring you some. Ready, set, and begin. This does work your core a lot. If you start to get pinching in your neck, that means don't worry about keeping your hands quite that high.
6. Keep leaning and
As
reaching.
you pull back in, try to keep the hands high. There we go. And then lean forward a bit more if you can. And keep the lean forward. Try to keep that at least a gentle lean forward.
Yeah, grab some lighter weights for next time because we will do this again.
Good, you got 10 seconds left. Nice and steady. The bicep burn should be real. 3, 2, 1, and done. Okay, that is all 3 exercises. Now we get to do another round. All right?
Yeah, if you know you want different weights for the second round, guys, come grab them.
But if not, then lie down on your belly. We got that spinal extension hold. Round number 2. All right, the last round went well, so we're gonna dial it up to 45 seconds instead of 30 seconds. Ready, set, lift up, find the position you're gonna hold, ready, and hold. Now, your butt should be squeezed hard, but don't confuse the butt squeezing hard with my back also squeezing hard. Really start to think about those muscles that go right from the tip of your tailbone all the way up to the back of your head. Make the spine long. Maybe think about squeezing the shoulder blades together just to activate the area. They can be on or off. If they're if your feet are higher than your shoulders though, that generally means your butt's working harder than your back. 3, 2, 1, and down. Perfect. Standing up when you can. Dumbbells if you wish.
Back lunges.
Back lunges, round number 2. Don't worry, 2 rounds is all we got time for today, so you won't have to do another one. All right, ready on the back lunge. Set and begin. Challenge on this round. How lightly can you put that back foot down? You're still using that back leg, but can you be very, very conscientious of how you're putting that back foot down and how much weight you're using in that back leg? This isn't better or worse, it's just a different variation. Good. And again, the knee doesn't have to touch the floor, just get it as close to the floor as that works for you. Good job, should be getting warm. Good job, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done those back lunges. Sitting on your butt, we got our bicep press to finish. Once you're done this, you get to go do whatever the heck you want. All right. Ready. Again, slight lean forward. As you're reaching, try not to duck your head down. Try to keep a fixed gaze on something out in front of you. Ready, set, go. How close can those pinky fingers get to your armpits when you're at the most contracted at the inside of the range of motion? How close can those the fingers get up towards the nipple area or the armpit area? It's like I'm teaching teenagers today.
Yeah.
It's okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and done. Whew. Perfect.
Well done.
All right, everybody.
Don't throw your weights at me.
That was it for week 1 of wave 2. Again, so next week being week 2 of wave 2, we're going to take these movements in these positions and we're going to just slightly give you variations to tweak them a little bit.
All right.
All right.